City.
Actually, that's spot on.
It is spot on.
All the competition that try to compete.
Everything is spot on.
Dak Prescott's season ended early on a horrific ankle injury. And now going into the preseason, we're talking about this shoulder, something going with his shoulder. Should we be concerned about Dak Prescott's health going into this season? I'm going to start with John.
So the thing is with Daks, I think they're calling it a latissimus strain. They're saying it's not I guess I got this from Hard Knocks, but they're saying it's not the bicep or the tricep. It's a latissimus strain. And they're describing this as like a weird football injury. They're saying this is something that you see more in baseball. And the team doctors from the Cowboys consulted with the doctors from the Yankees and the Rangers, right, to get kind of more information on this, because this isn't something you usually see with quarterbacks. The thing with me is I'm not necessarily concerned about Dak playing week one or starting week one. I think that is going to happen. What I'm more concerned about is that this will be a lingering injury that will affect him throughout the season. When we first happened, we kind of heard that, oh, he was just taking a step back. It was mostly precautionary and he was going to sit for a few days. And then it was, oh, okay, he's not, throwing, and he, didn't throw for a whole week of training camp. Then it was like, okay, he's still going to get some time in the preseason. And then after that, it was like, okay, we don't know if he's going to get some time in the preseason. And this game coming up against the Texans, we're pretty sure he's not going to play. And it looks likely that he's probably not going to get any preseason time. And that's something we know Dak really wanted. Coming off that ankle injury, he really didn't have a lot of reps. And so I'm not sure what his arm feels like. They say it's healing. He's kind of been throwing every day. Still not doing a lot of throwing, but he is throwing. I'm not sure, what his pain tolerance is or, how it feels, but I'm starting to lose faith that this is just going to go away by September 9th. I think this is something he's probably going to deal with. And that's where my level of concern is. If he has to deal with this or play through this, then I think it significantly decreases the Cowboys' chances of going to the playoffs and, fulfilling their dream of going far in the playoffs or winning the Super Bowl if Dak's not 100%. And, it looks like at least to start the season, he won't be.
Yeah, I think this is a situation that has the ability to linger. And so, like John said, it's not that this can hurt him come week 1 or 2. It's what's going to happen come week 6, week 11 during the regular season. Is he going to be healthy enough to play then? Initially, when I heard of the injury, I was worried. And I feel like after hearing that he had to have a second MRI, I was even more concerned. And then later on, I learned that it's kind of normal for them to have a second MRI done just to make sure that everything was cleared up with the first one or what have you. But I do see this as being a situation that has the ability to linger on throughout the season. And I'm kind of curious as to what the Cowboys' backup plan will be at that point. Because right now, it doesn't seem like they have a solid plan in place.
Throughout the offseason, we've heard it's the concerns about Dak Prescott, but not once, just for the thought of it, have we said that everything may just be okay for the sake of how early it relatively is in training camp right now. We just got past the first game. The Cowboys have been practicing for about a month. The thing with injuries in relations to the offseason and training camp is if they happen, rather them happen early as opposed to later on. If Dak has to rest, then let him rest. Again, as John spoke earlier, Dak has been doing some light throwing. He threw a little bit before the Arizona game. I was fortunate enough to go out to the Star yesterday and I saw the Cowboys practice, and he participated in some early drills, more light throwing. So he will gradually get to where he needs to be. Where I am a little concerned is that I do want Dak to be able to see some action throughout the preseason. Even as far as saying if he has to get one series during the final preseason week, I'm fine with that too, so long as it's just him handing out the ball and some real game action. Let Dak Prescott get back around the atmosphere of, moving at 2 to 3 miles per hour. And again, it's really early. The Tampa Bay game, we still got some time until that happens. Again, if he has to get some time within the last preseason game, I'm all for that. But I think the concern should just be leveled down a bit. I think, obviously, with Dak, he's a $160 million quarterback. He's coming into one of those years where everybody's really looking at it to be great. If he got to get his rest, let him get his rest. We'll deal with everything when we get ready to cross that bridge.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we can't discount is the mental aspect, right? Because he is coming off of what some people thought potentially could be a career-threatening injury with the ankle, and he still hasn't been able to play competitively since then, outside of a few training camp reps, right? Having like a real live defense come at him, trying to tackle him, get him knocked down or anything. So we don't know how comfortable he is mentally playing in front of a live defense with that injury. And then the first time we're going to see him do that is most likely going to be against the Super Bowl winning defense in Tampa Bay. I think that's frightening. And then not only you don't know what you have in that shoulder, if he's not able to throw during the preseason, right, then he has to go in that game with that mental block. And that, okay, I kind of went from throwing softly in practice, warming myself up, resting, to now this is for real. Like, I can't take anything off these throws. You know what I mean? I can't take myself out the game and say my arm hurts. This is game one of the regular season. So like I said, Dak's a warrior. I'm not really worried about him missing any time. I think he'll play all 17 games. But if that shoulder is bothering him all 17 games, then naturally the product of the Cowboys is going to be lesser than we thought it was. And that's where my concern comes in, is that Dak won't be 100% this season, because, you know, this could be a strain that just goes away in 2-3 weeks, but that's not really what it's sounding like, because they tried to portray it as just precautionary at first, and still 2.5, 3 weeks later, he's still not really throwing. And so 3 weeks from now, I still think his shoulder will be bothering him.
I'd also like to say, when your quarterback goes down and it looks like almost a career-ending injury, it looked horrible when we saw it. And then we go into the offseason, you pay him all this money. You know, going into this season, the Cowboys need Dak Prescott to be healthy. And when that happens and then another injury happens, it's a new level of being cautionary.
But
so I think the Cowboys...
And I'm sorry to interrupt, Jamar, but that's all the more reason to rest him. Again, you just signed him to as much money is that much more important to make sure your quarterback stays healthy. If we let me be honest and take it just to a football sense, I don't think we're beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anyway. But but given the fact that as long as Dak is close to 100%, and we'll work through the end of the preseason into the beginning of the season, regular season.
Definitely agree. We definitely need Dak back on the field if it's week 1, week 2, but we didn't for the entire season as much as possible. But we'll see what happens. If we won a Super Bowl, Dak's going to have to be on the field. But y'all tell us what y'all think in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see y'all next time. SOS Discussions.
We thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to check out more shows here on this YouTube page, such as SOS Discussions or My Point Exactly. And most of all,
keep watching Spot On Sports!
it's a new wave of sports that's sweeping the nation. We're not just accurate, it's spot on.